Heyo, and welcome back to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. Fully loaded show this evening, and a very, very special guest coming to us live from his son's hockey practice. It is the voice of the Boston Celtics on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Sean Grande is with us live tonight. Sean, how you doing? Thanks so much for being with us.
I think, guys, well, first of all, thank you for having me. But second of all, when it's this cold in New England, you want to find what's the coldest place you can possibly be. So seek out a hockey rink. It's
Hey, you might
perfect
as
spot. As any hockey parent would know around here, it's a lifestyle.
absolutely grinding it out at the rink on and Krasner's got his tank top on the coldest day of the
There's a story behind that,
coldest day of the year.
living with a 90-year-old, when you get home and the house is 80 degrees, you're like, oh boy.
Grandy might be coming over to your place to warm up after practice. All right, let's get into it. We got Grandy with us. The Celtics are in the middle of a great run in their season so far. We got lots to talk about. Gabe, why don't you kick us off with the first question of the night?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. Welcome. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast. I just wanted to get your thoughts, a very general question, just get your thoughts on the season so far since the Boston Sports Spurs have last met. The Celtics have gone 4-0, so the team is definitely riding a high right now, and I wanted to get your thoughts on how you think the season's going.
Well, my thoughts are that I have to say something out loud that I've never said to my wife in all the years I've known her, which is I think I was wrong. I was one of those people at the start of the year that did not see this coming. And, we don't know what this is yet. We are 30% of the way in, and calamity can strike. I think I've become the voice this year of that guy that's like, don't go in swimming after you eat, and don't run too fast, and don't run with scissors, and don't get overly excited because things can even out. Bad things can happen because the Celtics have been so healthy, in addition to everything else. But there clearly is something special going on here. Watch the connectivity of this team. We're sitting here. When I say I was wrong, we're sitting here at the end of what I was calling the 8-game gauntlet. Remember, flashback a couple of weeks. They lose at home to Brooklyn. Now they're entering these 8 games against 8 of the better teams in the league on paper. We're generally way over 500. I thought at that time 4-4 in those 8, they could be in pretty good shape on the other side, and they go 7-1, which was inconceivable to me. And it's funny. I said at the end of the broadcast Sunday in Toronto, watch all the national people during these days off between games start picking up on the fact that the Celtics are doing this, and in particular that the Celtics have been 1 or 2 in offense for 3 years under Joe Mazulla. It was Jayson Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Luke Cornett. Don't have Brogdon, don't have any of these guys that contributed to it, and they still have the number 2 offense in the NBA. And that to me that was off the radar. That wasn't even possible.
Yeah, and Sean, to your point there, I want to kind of play off that. Jaylen Brown's having a great season, and I think everyone thought that he was going to completely take over, even create more offense than he already is doing than more than he would in past years. But I think that he's letting the game kind of come to himself, and he's not trying to do too much. And I don't think he's trying to be that guy where he's trying to overcompensate for the loss of Tatum. And I kind of want your thoughts on his year so far. I think he's putting together a really solid year, and again, not trying to do too much in that role.
Well, your thoughts or my thoughts is what I've been saying as it's been going on, which is that for all the things that are obvious, Max and I have called pretty much every game Jalen has ever played here. For all the talent, the mercurial athleticism, everything he does well. What's been the one knock that people want to pick at him? He's not under control. He turns it over too much. He makes bad decisions. All of that stuff has disappeared. And without Tatum, it's almost as if that has been what is required of him. And how many times this year have I used the word control to describe Jaylen Brown? How many times has he been in control of the game? I love numbers and stats, and they're fun, and people know that I tweet a lot of that stuff out. It's interesting to me. But he's the perfect example of let's not go too deep and pull too many threads on the advanced metrics and the on-court, off-court numbers, because Jalen's numbers aren't great. But sometimes you got to go with the eye test. And every time the Celtics have needed a play made, every time they've needed a bucket, every time they needed somebody to do something, he has done it. And he has been a true number one, true MVP of this team. And, while the MVP ladder, MVP race is a ridiculous conversation because there's only 2 guys on that ladder. There's Shea and there's Jokic. Everybody else is just fighting for third. First team All NBA, Jalen's certainly going to be in the conversation for first third.
Yeah, I think we'll get to Big E in a minute, but Big E, I wanted to shout you out because you had those numbers on last episode where Jaylen Brown's numbers from just a points, rebounds, assists are on par with somebody like Anthony Edwards, Jalen
Mhm.
Brunson, and there was one more guy that you had in there, Big E, and I
It's
just think
Spider
that
Mitchell.
that's right, Donovan Mitchell. So like he's firmly in that race, and I think he's an All NBA player this year. Big E, you got the next one. Let's ride into it.
Yeah, I think, obviously this 8 game gauntlet that the Celtics just went through, and it came out looking great. I think a big contributor here has to be Jordan Walsh. He has been completely changed the framework of how this team plays defense. And I think the thing that's been extremely interesting is to watch his offensive game really flourish over the last 3 or 4 games as well. So I would just love to kind of get your thoughts on his impact and what he's been able to do, um, over the last couple weeks since he's really been moved into the starter role in November.
Air Jordan. They told him, can you do this? And now he's the one, Darren, the best player on the other team, to score against it. And you still, the beauty of it is he's contributing at the level he's contributing, and it's so much better. He can get so much better. Just learning the subtleties of defense. He's got to stop fouling. Free throw disparity is so big, and Jordan's going to be a big part of that. He's got to learn. He's going to guard the team's best player. He can't give away fouls away from the ball. He can't give away fouls in bad situations. That said, isn't it funny that all we're talking about is people talking about his defense, guarding the best player, how he fits in the starting lineup, and then he ran off a string I have never seen. I've seen some pretty good players over 25 years here wearing the Celtic uniform. I've never seen anyone go 20 of 21 on the floor, which is what he did. And some of those were threes. Some of those were long twos. Some of those were difficult shots. So it's interesting that the things that he thought he was going to be, as someone who's always been a scorer in college and someone who can score in the G League, and that's great. But he's figured out what he can be. It's like you look at Patrick Beverly and say, wait a minute, I can play 12 years in this league just by being great at guarding the other team's best player. For all the other things he's been working on for the last 3 or 4 years, and that shot and contributing to the offense, he's still got those. So it's not like you lose all those skills that he's been working on for 3 or 4 years. So it is amazing what it's that great paradox from the Tim McCarver speech from Moneyball, right? You got to play well to become confident, but you got to be confident to play well. And when he got the confidence from Joe Mazulla, from Jaylen Brown, from Jayson Tatum telling him, you can do this, or can you do this, challenging him. And when he realized that they had his back, all of a sudden he started playing free and easy. And it is, I'll tell you, gentlemen, it is an extraordinary drug, confidence. And we're seeing it on display with a guy who, this 4th year, finally is finding his place.
Yeah, and I think just as a follow-up there as well, I want to get your overall thoughts on the staff and their development of guys over the past 5 or 6 years. They have like an uncanny ability to find guys who are diamonds in the rough. A Luke Cornett, a Sam Hauser, Neemias Queta, Jordan Walsh. The list could go on. It's almost embarrassing what they've been able to find that has been passed over by other teams. So just would love to hear your thoughts on just how they've been able to find and develop these guys.
Well, isn't this what the goal of every organization is to be, whether it's the Spurs or the Thunder or the Celtics are now, which is to have you don't have to paint culture on the court to actually have one, right? So you don't have to wear it on your uniform to actually have a culture. The Celtics certainly have that, and the pipeline and operating a G League franchise in connection, whether you're in connection with the NBA team and you're coaching the same way and coaching the same things, and it puts you in a situation where the so-called gap year has turned into a year where the Celtics are putting a gap between themselves and the rest of the Eastern Conference because Baylor Shireman is playing. Look at what Sam Hauser has become over the last couple of years. Josh Minot couldn't get minutes in Minnesota, and now he's not only in the rotation, he's playing center. Yeah. He's your backup center. So the fact that you can have guys in your system and have them be able to accept a role and then play that role effectively, that's sort of the big picture from Brad Stevens to Joe Mazulla to Phil Pressey and Mange, everybody being connected. I talked about the connectivity on the court. Everybody's connected in the organization. Those main games mean something. By the way, no one's talking about this now, but write this down. I don't know if it'll be with the Celtics or with another team. Ron Harper is going to play in the NBA. Ron Harper is a rotational player in the NBA. He's scoring, he's having his 40-point games up in Maine right now. And I don't know if, unless the injury situation gives him a chance to have that happen in Boston, that's going to be another player that comes through the Celtic system and contributes out of here somewhere else.
So yeah, you kind of transitioned it perfectly. We're talking about the training staff and Phil Pressey, Joe Mazulla, Brad Stevens, the front office. With all that gossip going around right now, especially with the NBA and the trade deadline, not looming soon, but kind of it's going to be here a little bit sooner than we think. There's been a lot of chatter about Anthony Simons for Ivica Zubac. If you think that the team's actually able to pull off this trade, and they continue the type of play that they've been playing and put themselves in the seed, in the 4 or 5, whatever type seed, and their Tatum comes back, do you think they're championship contenders?
Well, I don't think anyone is a championship contender. I think everyone is a contender to get into the ring with OKC. That's what you're a contender to do right now because they're terrifying right now. And it looks like they're only going to get better with the roster they have. Who's better equipped, by the way, to trade for Giannis right now than OKC with the picks and the assets that they have. But, crazier things have happened. Obviously, for the Celtics to be in the conversation at the start of the year, I thought they were a play-in team. And I thought it was going to be a stretch for them to even make the playoffs. Now you got to rethink what is possible. The trade, and before we talk about a Simons trade, and obviously I've heard the Simons Zubac thing is certainly going around. There is some smoke around it without question. Before we let go of the idea of fitting into a culture and buying in, whether he's a long-term Celtic or a very short-term Celtic, I don't want the attitude, the approach, and the professionalism with which Anthony Simons has brought here this year to go unnoticed or unspoken about. Because this has been a starter for the last 4 years, a 20-point a game guy in this league playing in Portland. And even though it's quote-unquote protecting his dollars to play this smaller role, he has bought in. He is busting his ass defensively. He's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but he's trying. He's connected with his teammates, and I've been really impressed by that. That's extraordinarily guard-heavy and doesn't have depth or veterans up front. So Simons for Zubac, obviously on paper, makes a ton of sense. I think it could make the Celtics really scary. And remember this, as we go into trade season begins next week, and we'll go on for 2 months. The biggest addition, and Giannis would be huge, obviously, for somebody, but what's a bigger addition than the Boston Celtics adding Jayson Tatum? That might be the biggest addition anybody makes as we go through the season here. And I was someone all along, even last summer, doing all the interviews and conversations like this, I'm a proponent of Tatum coming back to play, not because of what was possible this year, but because I just thought it was better for him to play 15, 20 games and then come back next year without any doubts or concerns about his ability to play and be at 100% ready to go at the starting game. So if the Celtics were 20-40, I was still in favor of Tatum coming back. I didn't envision a scenario where the record could be almost reverse of that, and you could be counting on him to play significant minutes on an Eastern contending team. But I think the beauty of the next 2 weeks, guys, when there aren't games, we literally just finished 6 games in 9 days. We had 1 million flights going back and forth. It was a crazy schedule. I think fans should enjoy this time to have the national people talking about your team on the NBA Today and Brian Windhorst. Everybody has to talk about the Celtics now. They've earned that. And think about what's possible because you've had great injury luck to this point. Maybe that will continue. And maybe this is a sort of Cinderella kind of special year. So forget Tatum in February and forget what's possible and enjoy what's actually going on in front of you right now. And the fact that although things tend to even out, we just talked about how tough this Dolphin was. Don't get too giddy doing it. But look at what's coming up here. After the Celtics have that back-to-back against Miami and Toronto right before Christmas, it's Indiana, Portland, Utah, Sacramento, the Clippers. There's another, I think there might be another Indiana game in there in early January. So suddenly the schedule would look terrifying. When the Celtics got through that 7-1, you say, well, when is it going to ease up? On paper, it's going to ease up here, late December, early January. So who knows what we're talking about.
Well, and Sean, I think like one thing to think about too is like this team had so many new components coming into this year that it took some time for everyone to kind of be comfortable with their roles. Now we're, roughly, a third of the way through the season. It's kind of like everyone is now starting to fall into place, which is scary for the rest of the league, knowing that this team really kind of was just finding their footing earlier on, and now it seems like they're really kind of they know exactly what they want to do, how they want to attack, and they're executing.
What was going to make this a successful season, in my eyes, is do they play hard every night? Plus, that's the Joe Mazulla conversation too. It begins and ends with are players buying in? Is this team buying in? Are they playing hard every night? Because if you do in this league, even if you're not as talented as other teams, let's not pretend the Celtics are not a talented team with some of the guys they have. But if you're not an elite talented team or an elite team in terms of depth, if you play hard every night, as we've seen, we're going to win your share of things. Because not every team does, and every team is connected, not every team buys in, and every team is helped the way the Celtics have been. So that's the reason you're 15-9. Obviously, as everybody knows, it's going to be a little bit better than that for some of the games they got away. So to me, the underlying thing is this a team that fans in this quote-unquote gap, which is quickly becoming something else, could enjoy watching, listening to, talking about. Are you going to appreciate this team? Are they going to represent the franchise? And obviously, through a third of the season, that answer is just overwhelming resounding.
I think that's been the most impressive part is the Celtics went through a ton of changes. You had Tatum go down. You had a new ownership group come in place. You had Mazulla adjusting to a new roster here. And so, as you just said, Sean, like the buy-in has been there from top down. You've seen Chisholm at every game. You know, he's sidelined. He's going crazy. So that's great to see that, you know, he's taken on that role. And so it's been a great season, but it hasn't all been sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. One thing we have to talk about is you had a matchup against the Lakers last Friday, prime time, and LeBron and Luka nowhere to be found. What do you think the issue is in the NBA with those sorts of games and players sitting out? And I think it's a big problem for the NBA. That 65 game threshold doesn't mean anything. And just what can the NBA do to incentivize? I think this in-season tournament is a whole bunch of hot garbage as well.
Well, and I know that's a popular sentiment, and I don't. The thing about the in-season tournament is, on paper, if you don't like it, it doesn't affect your life because the games count the same in the standings. You're just playing it on a funny colored court, right? So it doesn't really matter. As far as the NBA is concerned, it's an overwhelming success. Why? Because Amazon Prime has a deal to televise it, and Emirates bought it to sponsor it. So it's not going anywhere. It's staying. That's number one. Now, what it has done, the adverse effect of the NBA Cup is not the games themselves. It's what it's done to the schedule. I just told you, we just had, 7 flights and 6 games in 10 days. A lot of the teams just went through it because you got to compress the schedule so you can have all these days off to protect the NBA Cup games for television. And that's something that has to be addressed. The load management issue, listen, people smarter than me, we've all been discussing it for years. 82 games are not going on. This is this pipe dream that people have. Well, they cut the season down to 65. It's not a chance. That's just not happening. Can you extend the season? That's possible. I think the league has done a good job, but obviously not a great job, as was in evidence last Friday, of protecting certain national TV games. For example, Celtics and Lakers play on NBC Sunday Night Hoops in February. The Pat Riley statue gets dedicated outside the building formerly known as Staples Center. The Celtics and Lakers are both protected there. They're going to have a couple of days off before that game. They did not do that for Amazon on Friday. They played both teams play on the road the night before, and it's to some degree there are things that you can't avoid. You can't avoid Luka. You know, what do you tell Luka? You can't go attend the birth of his child. Things you can't avoid, but it struck home with me last year, guys, when I would go. Now the Celtics have become not only this, elite team in this, modern day, I don't want to call it dynasty, whatever the word would be, for a team that's always contending, always on national TV. Then it's a must-see team that they come on your town. And you have two things in effect. Number one, we go into the cities. I remember this. Remember we played a lot of road games at the end of last year. We went out west. We went to Portland and Utah, and there were so many. Every game would begin with thousands of Celtics fans watching warm-ups, and it would end with only those fans left in the building because the Celtics would beat the daylights out of the home team and chase the fans away, and only the Celtics fans were left. But we got to Orlando at the end of the year, and it was back-to-back. And I really wanted guys to play because you were going for the record for most road wins in the season. And I can't tell you how many Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum jerseys you see when you go into these cities, and when kids have to come up and meet me and meet Max. We're not right in the kids' eyes that they wear their jersey to the game, and they don't get to see them play. And I had somebody push back at me on social media Friday when I said, "Look, this is really awful that these guys aren't playing." And I had a fan say, "Well, this is great. The Celtics should have a better chance to win." And I said, spoken like someone who didn't spend their entire ticket budget. Where does
No. No.
Grande, are you with us? He might have. I mean,
got me. Hang on, let's see if I can fix this. See a dummy of myself. So
Can hear you.
you can't. First is asking start video. Okay, try.
there we go. You're back.
There it is.
All right. Hey,
I
listen.
talked so much I broke your camera.
He's on. He's on that hockey rink Wi-Fi. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, my point. The last part of that was we're now, the Celtics are doing it. A lot of teams are doing tier pricing, right? So you pay more to see certain teams. The Celtics are on that top tier.
Yeah.
So when we go to your town, you're paying the premium price to see the Celtics and not to see, with all due respect, the fans in Orlando last year weren't paying to see Baylor shine. Right? That's not the deal. So whether it's figuring out refunds or whatever it is, we just have to be smarter and be more of an industry than it is. We've got to look out for this.
Absolutely. All right, let's dive into the lightning round, Grandy. We each got a question for you. First thing that comes to mind when we ask these questions, Big E, kick it off.
Yeah, if you weren't doing play-by-play for the Celtics, what would you want to do?
I think I would, well, every year, I'm a 4-year season ticket holder. My son and I was living in Texas. And every time I go, I think that I miss my calling. That baseball was probably my true love. And by the way, you guys got to talk about that team all last year. You know how excited I was? So for the first 3 years, think about this time. I became a season ticket holder after the 21 season. So my first 3 years as a Red Sox season ticket holder was basically the Bobby Dahlbeck era, which, speaking of the Tim McCarver speech from Moneyball, that was like watching Bobby Dahlbeck. Like, just that whole montage of him, striking out, leaving a runner on third. But it would certainly be, I think I was always doing, when I was doing hockey, I missed baseball. When I was doing baseball, and you always miss the sports you're not doing. But as a lot of people know about me, ironic given how I'm going to be remembered in the first line of my obituary, basketball was always my number 4 sport. So who knows? So it'd certainly be doing play-by-play. I would imagine at this stage of my life, I'd probably say I'd be watching Roman Anthony every night.
Well, you could have fooled me that basketball is your number 4 sport.
That's the idea, right? Can't sing or dance.
Well, nor can we. J-Matt, take it away with the next.
Grandy, what's your favorite place to eat in Boston?
Wow, that is a difficult choice, and it's funny when you have a kid, it becomes different. Because you have this whole sort of, takeout world in which when you have a kid, suddenly you're not going to like the finer places.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, if I had a go-to spot, because I'm a barbecue guy, so I used to go. I'm trying to think of the name of my place in Arlington. I used to go to all the time. And I live near. I lived out in Blue Ribbon, and I lived near Redbones when I was out in. I lived in West Somerville when I first came back here to do the team.
Davis.
So Davis Square. So I was at Teal Square, just up the road from there. If I had to pick, that would probably be my sort of go-to. Don't have to worry about the kids. Don't have to worry about the wife. This is just me, maybe the dog. That's probably what.
Do you get barbecue on the road if you're like in Texas? Is like that your like go-to or no?
I'm a Thai food or barbecue guy. It really depends on where you go. Here's my rule of thumb: as someone who's from, there's no excuse to have a bad meal. I'm a play-by-play guy. My job is research and preparation, right? So there's no excuse for going into the city and not being prepared anymore, especially if you're a takeout. I'm going to the city to get to the hotel, going out, getting my food, and then all the crazy stats you see in the middle of the night. That's what I'm working on. I'm prepping for the game and sharing my prep. And usually there's going to be a good Thai food, a good barbecue, a good takeout sitting next to me on the desk.
It's all the brain power. It's all the food, right?
That's where it comes from, no doubt.
I mean, you guys are making me hungry right now, but Grandy, is there a favorite NBA city food-wise?
It's funny. I thought it was going to be a favorite NBA city to travel to, which is obviously different.
Well, we could do that too.
Well, that's where Max and I are. We just went to Toronto over the weekend, and we had this of all the great Grandy stats. 20 hours in Toronto times Grandy leaves the hotel 5 times Maxwell leaves the hotel 0. Certain places, if it's cold, he's not going out. He does not leave. Toronto is a great. I'm a Northeast guy. Obviously, I grew up in New York, so Toronto, Chicago. Obviously, I love going to New York. These are the best stops to me. I don't care as much about when you get when you're sitting in a hockey rink for several hours a week. Suddenly, the warm weather places seem a little more appealing. But I've never been unhappy getting off the plane in Toronto, Chicago, New York, DC. Even Philly is such an awesome vibe, such an awesome sports energy. I think you can take the boy out of the Northeast, but you're not going to take the Northeast out.
Love that.
Better.
Love that. I'm gonna kind of switch it up. Kind of want to know your I don't want to say your top moment, but one of your more memorable moments from each of the winning teams from 2008 and then to 2024.
I think when people say, "Hey, pick a game," or it's impossible. You've done so many thousands.
Exactly.
But I think you look at games where you kind of took the next step and then documented the moment properly. And for me, that moment when you know you're in the middle of three-dimensional history. It's going to be a game that's going to live forever. If you know that while it's happening, that's special. And to me, I always go back to Game 7, Paul Pierce and LeBron, in 2008, because the stakes were the stakes. I felt strongly as that year was going on, the Celtics were going to win the championship. And, when you grow up and you watch, when you're a little kid and you're watching Bird and Dominique, and all of a sudden it's happening in front of you. It's your job to document it forever. And I got the broadcasting gods were looking down on me at the end because I had the moment that game ended, if you remember, with a cross-court pass from, I think, Joe Smith, and Eddie House steals it to end the game. And something in me, whenever you hear the highlight, you'll hear me say, Eddie House steals the ball. And it was answering the Havlicek call. And it was, and for years in our open, we played those together. So, Havlicek stole the ball, and then you hear the call, and it's Eddie House stole the ball. And it was almost, if you're lucky in that moment and all the preparation, everything comes together, you realize it's like Tetris. You're just filling your spot in this era of, Celtics. And obviously 2014 didn't have those. I remember doing a podcast like this in February of 24 saying, because nobody could picture how it was going to happen. I said, what if it's not going to be what you think? What if instead of these dramatic win Game 6 on the road and come home and come from behind in Game 6, what if it's not that? What if the Celtics walk backwards in the championship? And of course, that's exactly, what happens. I think you just want to be able to document the moments and have an end of game call that is true to what's happening without over preparing it. Just be able to sort of talk honestly. And I think I guess what I remember now is the winning the game in Indiana, the conference championship game, because winning the East, because I had to go on this sort of, people don't think it was rambling. Obviously I did it okay, but people really enjoyed that. And what I was actually doing was filling time because Max had to go down to the court to give the trophy out. And I didn't know if we were going to commercial or going to that. So I just kept going and calling it and describing it. And the thing about the Celtics going two places they'd call it home, right? The NBA Finals in Boston, something like that. And really what I was just doing was filling until Max was ready. And I'll give you guys a little bonus story. Only a couple people know the story. That everybody knows Jaylen Brown was the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, but he almost wasn't because Max got handed a piece of paper and he didn't have his glasses, he didn't have his readers. And if you write down the names Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, not very legibly, they would look very similar. And he was about to say Jayson Tatum. He was about to announce Tatum as the MVP, and he had to, then like Lisa Salters pulled the paper back and like whispered in his ear, "No, it's Jaylen Brown." So Tatum almost did win the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
What a story.
Max got to put your glasses on, my friend, and be ready to rock and roll in those moments. Grandy, I think the 24 run, the moment that sticks out to me is Jaylen Brown hitting that three in Game 1 and that the pass that Tatum, or I forget if it was Tatum to Horford or Horford to Tatum to behind the back, and then the three in Game 3. That was just an incredible series, even though they won 4-0. That Indiana series sticks out as the moment where it was like, okay, I think that they're going to be able to get there. Grandy, want to get you out of here on this. Anything that you want to plug, any podcasts, anything off the air that you have going on that you want people to check out, and where can folks follow you across the social media platforms?
Well, it's Twitter, whatever we call it now, is always been Sean Grande PvP. The Celtics podcast is, we do that once in a while, the View from the Rafters. Mostly I just like to remind people that Max and I are there every day. You'd be amazed at all the people the beauty of doing baseball. I think the reason we always want to do baseball is my buddy Joe Castiglione for years. He got to be the voice of summer barbecues and days at the beach. Well, for 25 years, Max and I have been the voices of like scraping off your car, in the parking lot, a market basket. Like that's who we are, right? In the middle of winter. And, I think you guys know, a lot of Celtic fans know I had a difficult decision to make a couple of years ago, and it wasn't an easy one to make. I just felt the radio side, the audio side was what the voice of the Celtics is, because of not just staying with Max, which was critical to me, but, I think local television in the NBA is in big trouble. This is a perfect example of it in this market where the top 15 games, the games that really matter, and the playoffs are not going to be on local TV, and that's only going to get worse as time goes by, and you're going to have more games on streaming services and things like that. So I think it's, vital. If I want to plug anything, it's that, Max and we're there every night. Come find us. And hopefully it's going to be a longer run and some playoff games that maybe we didn't think we were going to have.
I mean, absolutely. I think most of us are in our cars driving home, trying to get back for game time and tip off. And you and Max in the fastest 30 minutes in the NBA is some of the best radio and audio that you can hear. And obviously, it's before every game. You guys do a fantastic job. We can't thank you enough for joining us tonight from the hockey rink. Really dedicated. We appreciate it so much, Grandy. We'll be tuning into all the games throughout the rest of the season, and hopefully, we'll get you back on. We can talk some playoffs, and we get to that point of the year.
Yeah, some Drake May and some Roman Anthony, and some Morgan Geeky. It's a revolutionary time.
Hey,
Love
it's
it.
Heck yeah.
Took it all in.
Boston sports is back. It's great to be from the best sports city in the world. There's nothing better. That's why we're doing this podcast. So it's
You know how annoyed the rest of the I travel all over the country. You know how annoyed everybody is. The Patriots are back. The Celtics are supposed to go away.
That's the best.
Hate us because they ain't us.
Because they ain't us.
We love it.
All right, Grandy, take care. We appreciate your time, and have a great rest of the day and holiday season coming up.
You too, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sean.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks for hopping on. We appreciate it.
Anytime, guys.
Awesome.
Look at that. Perfect time. The kids are coming off the ice.
Look
Perfect.
at that.
Perfect.
All right,
Couldn't
thanks,
couldn't have wrote that any better.
Take care. Have a good one. All right, that was unbelievable. Sean Grande, voice of the Boston Celtics on 98.5. Great 30 minutes with him. We know there's a slight audio issue there in the end, but that's what you get at the hockey rink, fellas.
It'll get fixed.
Unbelievable.
Well, yeah,
It'll get fixed.
we'll get into the back of the editing and all that sort of stuff. And
We might
try
be
and
going
make-
to the hockey rink right now.
Yeah,
What a
we
guy.
are gonna pay a visit to the hockey rink. Gabe. What a great
I think
transition
we're
that
on that
was.
way, actually.
All right, let's dive into it. Bruins are up next. Gabe, let's talk about another good week for this team. Staying alive.
Yeah, another good week. You know, the Bruins and the Celtics are going toe to toe right now for being one of the most loved teams at the second and third to the Patriots. But I have just queue up staying alive right now because that's what the Bruins are doing. They've
Staying
gone
alive.
2-1 since the last episode. They had a pretty tough loss against the Red Wings. Swayman actually got pulled in that game, letting up, I believe it was 4 goals or 5 goals. But then come right back, beat St. Louis, beat Montgomery, former head coach of the Bruins, pretty handedly 5-2. And then my game of the week in last episode was against the New Jersey Devils. And I thought this was going to be a great game. New Jersey's up there with Carolina Hurricanes, and they're vying for top seeding in the Eastern Conference, and the Bruins handled them pretty well. They win 4-1. Morgan Geeky scores again, has 22 goals this season. Swayman snaps out of it, has 29 saves on 30 shots. They're staying alive. They're second into the Atlantic Division, and this is exactly what we wanted from this team is just to play competitively, especially when you're missing 2 out of your 3 core guys and Charlie McAvoy and David Pastrnak. I mean, you would never think that, guys like Casey Middlestad or Morgan Geeky's having an unbelievable season. It's just all these guys are stepping up for each other and playing really hard for Marco Sturm, and I think that's the main reason why they are in this position is because they're playing into Marco Sturm's role and his scheme for the team, and it's proving successful. So just a few notes. Charlie McAvoy, he's been seen skating. He's hoping to come back onto the ice to play during their next road trip, which is great news. He's lost a lot of weight since having mouth surgery, so I'm very curious to see how he looks kind of coming back from that injury. And then also we mentioned Pastrnak. He's struggling getting back on the ice from a lower body injury. He's considered day to day, but still questionable for this upcoming road trip. So the Bruins are still going to have to tough it out without a couple of these guys and continue to stay on top of the Atlantic Division here.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to jump in on the Bruins, fellas? Anyone else?
I think you got to give kudos to Swayman. He's really keeping the ship rolling here, keeping it afloat, as you could say. He's just his save percentage. I think he's got a 2.70 and I think a 9 over a 9.1, about 9.2 save percentage or 0.9, whatever it is, however they do it, 0.9, whatever. He's keeping them. He's keeping them afloat. He's that dude. He's being that guy. Let up 1 goal the other night. Korpisalo has actually been kind of getting a
Yeah.
little bit better too as of lately. He played well against St. Louis, let up 2 goals. So
Yeah.
like to see more of that. But I think that this team has really been doing well, and the most impressive part is Swayman in the defense. I think the scoring, Geeky's been, he's been an MVP type of caliber type of guy, but with McAvoy going out, I just think the defense has been really stepping up, and you got to just be really, really proud of what they're showing. And I think that's the coaching. I think that's probably Sturm taking full advantage of the system and putting his stamp on things right there.
I think it's what you just said, Marco Sturm, and he's gotten these guys to buy in. He made a comment in a post game presser the other day that, with the volatility that they've had with the lineup, that the reason that they've continued to have success is because the system has finally been bought into. You do have Zadorov who did something stupid the other day where he took
Drinking a beer.
He chugged the
well,
beer.
he chugged the beer.
Oh
Good for
yeah.
him. That was great.
Oh
We
yeah.
love to see
Oh
that.
yeah.
But I think once again it goes back to Marco Sturm and what he's done. You talked about Swayman and McAvoy. I have some new swag here on the desk, fellas. So it
Oh.
is some Team
Oh,
USA
oh,
gear for
yeah.
the upcoming
Quick red hat there. That was
Olympics.
gonna
And
come
so what I have to ask is, do you see Swayman being the starting goalie for Team USA, and do you is McAvoy going to be on the team given what he's been through?
I would prefer
Um,
Charlie not to play, but that's me
After
personally.
that last debacle in the internationals, yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
yeah. As much as you don't want him to play, he's definitely going to play in the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Swayman starting is I don't think we were really even thinking about this in the beginning of the season, and now it's become a real question. I'm curious to see who his competition would be in that role. Is it like
It's
there's a
Ottinger
guy
and
from
Hellebuck.
Hellebuck.
yeah, I mean
Hellebuck.
those are two
Hell,
great
Bellingham.
goalies too. I mean if they could get I don't know. I mean that's tough. I don't think Hellebuck. I can't say Hellebuck has been good with confidence. I just think Swayman is definitely playing his way into a
Hell
starting
yeah.
role for the USA team.
You got to give it to him.
I
Yeah,
think when you
so
think about
and he's been in
goalies
that
too,
position before.
Yeah,
when you think
go
about
ahead.
goalies, you ride the hot hand, right?
I
And
was about to say you do ride the hot hand.
last year, Swayman was struggling from not being there for training camp, and really kind of didn't put his best effort forward in the beginning part of the season. So I think there was a reason why Hellbuck did get the role, and Hellbuck, to his credit, was doing really really well last year for the Wild, I believe,
I think
before the
the
Four Nations
Jets.
or the Jets. Sorry,
Then the
Winnipeg,
Jets,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah, Winnipeg. So before the Four Nations. So, but with the way Swayman's been playing, I think he
Yeah.
might be earning his spot to start because
Yes.
he has been playing so well this year.
100%. And to your point, Eric, like you ride the hot hand. Swayman's been hot with what hot garbage he's had in front of him. In the Olympics, he's gonna have the best of the best in front of him. So like,
Yeah.
and that's not to knock the Bruins saying hot garbage. They're not hot garbage, but you're not when you get the Olympics, you're getting the elite of the elite. So ride the hot hand, especially when you have better defensemen in front of him. He's gonna play even better. So I think you do have to consider starting him for sure.
You do. The only thing that I will throw caution to the wind is you add to his workload immensely in those sorts of games. I do think though on the flip side the benefit to seeing him in these high pressure situations in a tournament for medals with the Olympics, that's what you want to see. I want to see how he performs in that. We really haven't seen Swayman take the
Under
Bruins on a
pressure.
Tim Thomas, on a Tuukka Rask like goaltender run in the playoffs, and they're going to need that if they ever want to go somewhere. They're going to need outstanding goalie play. Gabe, any final thoughts where you want to wrap us up here on the Bruins? We'll certainly talk about them in the Pike as well in the game of the week.
No, nothing too crazy. I just want to give Mason Lohrei some kudos. He had a tough season last year. I think he was like minus 44 in the plus minus rating. Which is just disgusting. But he's turned it around this year. It seems like he's buying into the structure that Marcus Sturm has brought in, and he's a plus player right now. And I'd like to see him pop a little more offensively, but to have him play defense, better and in a plus matter is really big for this team right now.
I have one question, and this is like so out of left field, but we talked about Corpusalo, and I was looking at his numbers. They aren't
They're not
good at
good.
all.
No.
And I now live in Rhode Island, and I've been thinking about going to
The
Providence
Equator.
Bruins games. The Florida of New England, and I'm looking up at the goalie right now, and the Providence Bruins have a really good team.
Yeah.
I think they have like 3 or 4 losses on the season right now. And this goalie has got a 2.08, 9.926 save percentage. This guy, Michael DiPietro. I'm like, maybe give the kid a shot. I don't know if he's a kid, but give him a shot. Like, what do you got to
Yeah.
lose at this point if Corpusalo is
What
not giving what you need?
wasn't there talk about him making the roster in training camp?
I
There
mean,
absolutely
they got to
was.
consider it. They got to consider it at this
They
point.
they were giving DiPietro a chance in training camp to take over the role from Corpusalo. He unfortunately wasn't able to play up to the standards that you look for in a as a Bruins goaltender. But um, I agree. I think Corpusalo has reverted back to kind of his Ottawa days and hasn't looked as strong at all. I think they need to start looking at potentially moving him or doing something with him and trying to get a younger guy like Michael DiPietro or someone else, kind of give them another chance or give them a chance to start or back up in the NHL.
It'll be interesting to see what sort of levers they pull with the trade deadline, starting to approach, and the team being in position to make a playoff run, and getting some of the injuries and players that have been out for a while back on the roster. So Bruins are in good shape. It's been an exciting season for them. Kraz rejoins us, and we're going to shift right back into or
From
right
sunny
into
Miami.
from sunny Miami. Yes, well, he is down by the equator as well, so it's he's
More south than me.
yeah,
Yeah,
more
Wish.
he literally
exactly.
is in the Miami of Rhode Island.
He might as well be in the Caribbean. I mean, put him in
The
Key
water
West.
is, I mean, I can see the water from my house. So
Oh, wonderful. Why don't you go for a swim? Tell us how it is.
Oh,
yeah, I'm
oh,
definitely
great.
gonna go for a swim right now at fucking at 22 degrees. Yeah, that's
Feels
yeah. I want my balls in
Believe,
my stomach.
Real
That
feel
sounds
like
fun,
10.
really. That sounds real fun.
believe it or not, yesterday I was out walking my dog. I live by Constitution Beach in Eastie. I saw two people in the
Listen,
water just
They're
just
nuts.
yesterday morning.
Listen.
fucking
If I go swimming, I turn into a human Barbie doll. Okay,
yeah. Well, you
I go all flat.
All right, Ken.
Kraz made a good point about the two boys being in his stomach, and the team that has their
Don't
balls
get me going.
in their stomach right now is the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to transition to around the NFL talk. The Pats on the bye week. We'll preview a obviously huge game against Buffalo here in a bit, but let's start with around the league. J-Matt, set the table in terms of everything that went on, starting wherever you'd like, my friend.
Yeah, so I mean, I think some of the I as a Patriots fan, the biggest news yesterday was the Bills winning and the Bengals not being able to hold on and just like choking that away. And
Saw it
um
happen in real time.
high scoring game, and they if the Bengals had won that game, I mean the Pats could have just completely they could have no showed against the Bills and still walked away with the division. But that's my biggest takeaway is that crappy to see. The Packers Bears game, incredible. Great NFC matchup, like a classic NFC matchup. I just think it was a great day for football yesterday. It was a great day to not have a Patriots game to worry about, to sit on the couch, watch Red Zone, fully engulf the league, see what's going on. It was a great day of football. And Eric, what's your take? I think you probably are chomping at the bits over there.
Oh yeah, I would just say like in general, I think there were some really good games yesterday, and I think one game in particular that we got to talk about is the Colts and the Jags game, and the reason why we have to talk about this one is Daniel Jones came out this year and was balling out, and I wouldn't necessarily say that he's been playing poorly recently, but he has, the hairline fracture on the tibia, and so playing through that is impressive. You never want to see a guy go down with an injury, and unfortunately, he goes down with the likely Achilles tear. I think they confirmed
Official.
it's
Yeah,
officially
it's
confirmed. So terrible for him, terrible for that team because that team really kind of, they found their missing link in a quarterback, and now they have Philip Rivers coming out of retirement to try out for the team, and that just tells you everything about where they are right now. Like they have to go for best
Desperation.
available that's out there. And the Jags look fantastic. Not only that, but I think we'll talk a little bit about the Kansas City game, but the Texans also have been coming on really, really strong. So that division in the AFC looks like it is by far and away going to be the most competitive, and it's certainly going to come down to the end of the season. So week 17, week 18 now with a 17 game season.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great day and a great matchups across the board, right? It felt like there were 5, 6 games on the board that really had an impact in terms of things. You mentioned that Chicago and Green Bay game. Chicago goes from being in the 1 seed all the way down to 7.
Yeah.
But we got to talk
Wild.
about the Kansas City and Houston game, fellas, because I think J Matt said the Buffalo game. To me, this was the biggest game. Was Kansas City up to the task against a team that's been coming on in Houston, and they just fell flat on their face.
In
Patrick Mah
Arrowhead.
in Arrowhead, Patrick Mahomes had a terrible game, absolutely pitiful, and
He's
you
not
know
Tom Brady.
she
Nope.
sure is not. And I think I
Nope.
think I think that's the other thing as well. Kraz, you were ahead of this last week. They're not on the same fucking level by any means. Patrick Mahomes firmly number two, but don't ever mention him in the same breath as Tom Brady being the same or even on the level of him. He will not make it to 10 fucking Super Bowls. We can end that conversation right now.
Do you think that if let's say 2013 Tom Brady, because I think that's a similar, maybe let's even say 20, I think let's say 2013, right? 2013 Tom Brady on this team instead of Mahomes, are they probably making the playoffs? I would say yes. This team is a talented team. When you talk about Kansas City, yes, Travis Kelce is what, 36 years old. He's definitely not on. He's on the
He's on
back
the
the back
18th
nine.
hole.
He's on the 18th hole, right? He's old, older. You still got Rasheed Rice. You still got Kareem Hunt. You still got Isaiah Pacheco. You still got all these guys that they're throwing to. Tyquan Thornton, who just couldn't, get a cup of coffee here, who seems to get one long ball every game. You have Hollywood Brown.
Xavier Worthy.
You have Xavier Worthy. Like they have weapons on offense, and they have Chris Jones on defense. They have Nick Bolton. Like they have legit players. Can I sit here and say that the Patriots roster as a whole is more talented than Kansas City? I don't believe that to be true, to be honest. I think we're doing more with less than what Kansas City's doing. So this is an absolute failure because Tom Brady in his career, he never missed the playoffs except for years that he was injured. And let's put it this way, he never had any regular season games where there wasn't playoff implications. Even in 02, where they didn't make the playoffs and they ended up losing a tiebreaker with Miami, they ended up going 9-7 and had the same exact record as the division winner. So Tom Brady always made the playoffs. That is his hallmark. Patrick Mahomes cannot say that.
And also
I
the road for Mahomes too. I think if you're comparing 2013 too, at the time the division for the Patriots was still shit. Like the AFC East was crap. The AFC West is not crap. They have to go through Denver, Chargers. So and those teams are looking up. So I think that the Chiefs are done. I think their dynasty's. I think it's in the ruts. I think it's kind of on the downswing.
It's like oh 09 to me the Chiefs are where the '09 Patriots were, where it was a down
Yes.
year. Now the '09 Patriots still made the playoffs but got boat raced by Baltimore before the
But
game
they
even
made the
started.
playoffs.
They did make the playoffs, but that's sort of it. Is Kansas City in this position to be able to flip the roster, be able to flip it? Now their offensive line is completely decimated as well.
I don't want to hear the
But we'll
excuses about
see.
the offensive
Yeah,
line because
and
because
that's
we had a terrible offensive
and
line
that's the
and look
thing.
what we were able to do.
In Tom Brady's year, his at 30 years old, okay, he threw for 4,806 yards. He threw 50 touchdowns with 8 interceptions. Okay, and you're gonna compare him to Patrick Mahomes right now? Get the fuck out of here! No
I
way.
Gabe,
don't know.
jump in. Gabe,
I
jump in.
think one thing we're missing here, and I know we're talking about Kansas City a lot and Patrick Mahomes, but we got to talk about Houston a little bit too. And if the playoffs started today, the Patriots would be playing Houston. That's a scary
Front
thought for
seven.
me. Houston's defense is really really good. They got C.J. Stroud coming back off injury, and he's also looking to kind of start to shape into form a little bit. So that's Houston has been impressive this year. They win in Arrowhead, and that's a team I wouldn't love to see in the playoffs, although it is Houston and
Got to
they
get that
tend
one
to kind
seed.
Got
of.
to beat the best to be the
Just
best.
just
Got to
just
get that
call
one seed.
just call JJ Watt, make sure that they put on their their Letterman jackets again,
That's
and
right.
we'll take care of business. But
Yeah.
no, I do agree with you, Gabe. I think the offense for Houston, while CJ Stroud has been coming on a little bit, like they have Nico Collins, and outside of him, they don't really have a ton of weapons. So I'm not really scared of them offensively, but defensively, I think by far and away they are the best unit in football
Mhm.
when it comes to defense. So yeah, like I do think it would be a tall task for any team to go up against them. And candidly, I would love to not have to face them and have someone else go through that gauntlet and take care of that for the Patriots. So that way we can be matched up against other teams that we that would be more favorable to us.
Yeah, if
And
the
just to
line
throw that
if the
in there,
line is going to be injured too, I don't want to go against that team.
yeah, and that's what I was talking about a few episodes prior. Like, when it comes down to the playoffs, like if the Chiefs do get in, who do we want to play? And it's like I don't want to play anyone with a strong front seven like that. I mean, obviously, once you get further down into the playoffs, you're going to be playing teams that are stronger as far as their rosters are built. But that's the one thing that really worries me is our offensive line versus someone else's defensive front seven. So Houston's really scary. But again, a guy like Chris Jones, he's a complete game changer. So again, I think staying away from um, a team like Houston, a team like Kansas City early on is only going to benefit us in the long run.
It's interesting though. Like we played the Giants last week. They don't have a shitty front seven. So
No.
like while we did not have Will Campbell and Jared Wilson on the left side of the line, like they still kind of held their own. And candidly, that gives me a lot of confidence knowing that hey, get these guys healthy, make sure that they can come back when they are ready. Let's not rush them back. And I think that's why they put Will Campbell on IR. They basically said, hey buddy, we're not letting this up to you. We're going to make sure that you get the time to recover before you come back. But it does give me a little bit of confidence with the fact that Vidarian Lowe played really well, and so did Ben Brown. Like you gotta give credit to those guys for doing really well last week.
The
Next
Pats have
man up.
played some impressive front sevens too. So although they have played a light schedule, I do think like the Miles Garrett's and getting the reps against those players will benefit this team and like the Will Campbells in the long run in the playoffs.
Future sack leader Miles Garrett, who's
Crazy.
like what 4 sacks away now, which is crazy.
Yep.
Gonna happen. Got to give credit to Doug Marrone having a legitimate offensive line coach in there that's been a head coach in the NFL, and the whole Patriots staff has really been impressive this year with the turnaround. So a few final NFL things: the Broncos escape in Oakland, or not Oakland, in
Vegas.
Vegas with the most insane backdoor cover of all time.
Oh my God, that was
Went in my
Investigate,
about
favor.
the bomb
investigate,
dominate.
investigate them.
Went in my favor. Baltimore loses to Pittsburgh on a very controversial call there at the end of the game with Isaiah Likely. What's a catch? What's not a catch? Who the fuck knows at this point? The officiating's just been hot garbage all year. We've talked enough about
Do
that.
you think that was a catch?
I don't know. I don't know. That's like
I don't think so.
that's like
I
a
don't think
true
so.
50-50. I think he was still like fucking around with the ball.
I
I don't
think I
know.
don't think he had possession. I think you need to maintain possession.
Well, that's the whole.
I don't,
That's
I
the
don't, I
rule.
don't, but I don't think it was like the Des Bryant catch. Like the Des Bryant catch, I think was a catch, the one that they didn't call.
Against Green
I,
Bay.
yeah,
When he
because I,
tried
because
to,
I think, because
yeah.
I think he did have possession. I don't think
That
Isaiah
he did
Likely had
have possession
possession,
of that ball.
So
I
who
agree.
and I
who
think that's,
knows?
I think,
It's
but,
all
but,
over.
That's why whatever the
but,
refs
but,
have money on that night. That's
Right,
yep,
what
no,
it
it's
is.
exactly.
it's kind of like
Or
what
Vegas.
I think
Well, they
someone
were
said
in
it.
Vegas for it, so
Well, it's like someone said it
saying.
back in the day. I think it was a Larry Flynn trial, but like you can't define what porn is, but you know what it is when you see it. It's kind of like with a catch, like you can't define it, but you know it when you see it.
Oh,
What a
believe me, we
line.
know about Larry Flint.
Wow, we went there.
Why not? All right, let's talk about a guy. No, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about a team in the Patriots, which we've been talking about it all season, where these two games are two of the most important. We got the Bills on Sunday, and then flex. We got flex, baby, to
We got
that
a
Sunday night
flex.
prime time game against the Ravens. Joe Murray, Mike Giardi, and all the other people who were bitching and moaning about that. Shut the fuck up. It's fine. The Patriots being in primetime means the Patriots are back. Get on the wagon. Let's ride. Who wants to talk about these two games? Anyone take the baton?
I
Yeah.
mean,
I think
the
let's talk about the Bills. Bills at home, right? We already won on their turf. So let's win at home, get an impressive win, lock up this division officially. And then from there, I think the game against the Ravens, to me, the Ravens don't really scare me. It is down in Baltimore. And I think, anytime we can get more prime time views, it's always good. But to me, I think out of these two games, the game I'm more excited about is the game against the Bills because that team has had this division's number for the last 5 years. And if we can go and we can sweep the Bills, that to me says everything about the season.
The only thing I'm really nervous about the Bills game is I think James Cook's going to go off. I do. I just don't. I'm not confident in the Patriots' run defense right now with the people that they're missing. The bye week will help them prepare for that, but as long as they're able to score points on the Bills, which they will be, they'll be fine because I do think the defense will be able to stop them at points. I just don't think that they have the wide receivers and the talent around Josh Allen to put up. I they put up 30 against the Bengals, but the Patriots are not the Bengals defense. So as long as the
Well,
Patriots are true to
Seven of them came
themselves, they'll
from a
be
pick
okay.
six,
not James Cook that scares me next week, Josh. It's the tight ends. It's Dalton Kincaid and it's Dawson
and
Knox
Knox.
because
Yeah,
we cannot defend against the tight ends, and those are probably his most reliable weapons because Keon Coleman can't see the field. So
It's so
those are the
weird.
guys. Those are the
Knox
guys
is
I'm worried
like
about.
a Patriots killer too, which is so
Yeah,
like weird to think.
he had a great
Um,
game this
I don't
past week
know.
too against the Bengals.
I think the
yeah,
Pats have been doing decent against the tight ends lately. I don't think that. I think the last couple of games have been okay.
Well, they did good against the Giants because
the Giants
Theo
they
suck.
were too
Theo
busy
Theo
fighting.
yeah,
Yeah.
he really didn't do much. But yeah, no, I think outside of that one game, tight ends have been an issue for us.
It's the game of the season, undoubtedly. Hat and t-shirt game, nothing better than trying to go for
Yeah,
the division in a home game at Gillette Stadium. If you're there, get lubed up, get ready to go, and everyone will be firmly planted on their couch, ready to go for 1 o'clock on Sunday. Uh, let's
100%.
do it. Let's do a very quick college football check-in, fellas, as the playoff bracket is now set. A very crazy 48 hours in terms of the selection and everything going on. Indiana takes down Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. Georgia wins the SEC. Bama still gets in. Tulane and who's the
James
other one?
Madison.
James Madison get into the playoff. No Notre Dame, no Texas. So just an insane college football landscape that we have going on. Feel free to chime in on anything. I have thoughts, but I think given what we know now about the bracket, it's anybody's ball game.
I just love that Indiana took down Ohio State. I think Indiana is like, if you are a casual fan, root for Indiana. Root for the team that historically has not been a good football school. And their coach, it's just hard to not root for that guy and for that team. So for me personally, Indiana is the team that I am riding with throughout this playoffs. And I would love nothing more than at the end of the postseason to see them raise the championship.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think also another game that the ACC championship, Duke versus Virginia. Duke took down ranked Virginia team. I don't know why you wouldn't put Duke into the playoffs over like a James Madison or a Tulane. It's just the NCAA playoffs is it's a broken system right now. I think you get a clear shot of that with Notre Dame not making it. They're now denying a bid to play in a bowl. The athletic director is calling the rankings a farce and just completely shitting on it. There's real issues with the NCAA playoffs right now, and to have an Alabama team just because they play tougher competition in the SEC, they had three losses, and that's pretty tough when you're a Notre Dame looking from the outside in and you see that. I can understand why they're feeling the way they are. I also that's not to say I don't think they should have denied a bowl bid. That's pretty like
Pathetic.
Oh, it's
pathetic.
that's
Yeah.
that's a
Who
bitch
did
boy
Notre
move.
Notre Dame doesn't face anyone though.
They
They don't
face
face
no
any.
one.
They face no one good, and that's the thing about NCAA, which I think sucks, is that the fact that you can make your schedule and pick and choose who you want to play, and that's why these SEC teams and these Big Ten teams get the upper hand because they do play the cream of the crop, and they're not playing these like who knows of the world. I just the Navy. They like Notre Dame plays Navy. Like, come on, I know Navy's good, but like it's not. They're not to the same competition as the other teams.
Yeah, and
I,
Notre Dame, like they just like be a big boy and join an actual division instead of your independent
Yes.
because
I
literally all
agree
you
with
do is
that.
you play a lot of the ACC so you can get a lot of these wins and sneak in as an independent. At least just join the ACC or step it up and
that ain't
join
happening.
be part of the Big Ten, because you play games against some of these bigger conferences, these bigger conferences, but like guys like Penn State, like actually step up and do it and stop being an independent because it's so whiny to be like, oh, we didn't make it. Well, you didn't make it because you didn't play well throughout the season. And it is such a bitch move to be like, oh, we're not going to do a bowl. You want to what? Like, I'm sure Texas is disappointed that they didn't make the playoffs. Same thing with like Vanderbilt and some of these other SEC teams. But you want to know what they're doing? They're going to a bowl game and they're making money for their team, their school, their conference. And Notre Dame, you guys are just losers.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's just like this school that prides itself on being a football school and is got to be a top 5 college football program in the country from a fan base standpoint. To do what they did and the disservice that it does to the players on the team to not be able to go to a bowl game and showcase themselves, whether it's for the NFL or for the NIL. And I know everybody says who gives a shit that half of them wouldn't play in the bowl. What about the people that want to play in that game? Like you just they made an executive decision decision for the players on the team because they weren't happy with how something went. And it's like, what sort of like football isn't about that shit. Football is about grinding through the fucking mud and coming together as a team in the face of adversity. And Notre Dame literally took their ball and went back to South Bend, Indiana, and said "fuck you" to everybody. And I thought they were supposed to be nice boys and girls at the Catholic university that they are. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's like, did you even like talk to the players about this? Because if I were a senior, I'd be pissed. Like, this is my last chance to shine. I could go out on top as a bowl game winner. It's just like it just seems like they made a decision way too quick. Like this news was out there as soon as they
no,
knew they didn't get in. It was
It's a
boom.
bitch move.
It was
It is.
predetermined.
It's a bitch move, straight up.
It
Like
is,
there's no other way
yeah.
to put it.
But I
Yeah.
again, I just feel horrible for the kids. I mean, they have a Heisman candidate. I think it's Jeremiah Love, the running back. And now no one's going to get to watch him in another game because he'll probably end up in the NFL
It's
next year. And it's just like it's
it's
just
selfish.
so
It's
dumb.
actually
Yeah.
selfish that the
Comes down to
higher ups
money.
would do that. Yeah, it's selfish.
Yeah,
And
and
listen,
they
like,
wanted
they
to
would-
flip the bird to ESPN by saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're not going to, we're not going to be in the playoff. Well, then we're not going to play in a bowl game and give you all the revenue that comes along with that sort of shit." But honestly, it's so dumb.
They
Go
they
ahead.
really should get penalized, honestly, by the NCAA.
Fuck him, kick him out of the playoff for next year.
Oh, make them join a
Penalty
conference.
box 'em.
Force them to join a conference. There you
Actually,
go.
that's a great
The
point,
SEC.
Krasner. Throw Notre
'em in the
Dame in the
penalty
penalty
box.
box. Notre Dame in the penalty box.
They
5 minute
got
major
a 5 minute major
for being a
for
bunch
sure.
of pussies. Okay. All right. A team that
David
the
Ortiz
stovetop
way.
is starting to heat up a little bit. It's starting to get
Simmer.
warmer where Krasner is for sure.
Yeah, I know, right?
Let's
Still hot
let's
in this
dive
fucking
into
house.
a little hot
Jesus.
stove check in here. The Red Sox, Kraz, some more moves happening this week. Run us through everything that's going on in Red Sox land.
Yeah, so no really huge moves as far as like, major free agent signings. The winter meeting started, I believe, yesterday. A couple of tidbits that I do kind of want to talk about, both Christian Campbell and Connor Lee Early. I think I mentioned this last episode, but Connor Lee Early and Christian Campbell both put on weight. As we speak, Christian Campbell's in Puerto Rico playing what's it called? Winter ball. So that's great to see. Would really love to see these guys go up above and beyond, especially with this big news that I've been hearing. And it's kind of been just growing and growing more and more. I think it was both John Morosi and then Rosenthal both tweeted out. Morosi said that the team that is best positioned to sign Pete Alonso, not name the Mets, is the Boston Red Sox. And there's a better than a 50% chance that Alonso is not on the opening day roster for the Mets. Then on top of that, I believe it was Rosenthal sent out a tweet stating that Pete Alonso told his inner circle that he approves or he wants Boston more than he does the Mets. So with that being said, a package of Casas, Duran, a young prospect, and Yoshida and most of his contract for a Cole Ragans or something like that would be fantastic in my eyes. Another thing I really wanted to touch on really quickly was also breaking news. Pete Alonso is actually meeting with Red Sox brass tomorrow, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more news, and maybe I'll have a news break for everybody with that. But
the
lastly,
heat's getting turned up.
Yeah, it is getting heat up. Lastly, the last one thing I wanted to touch on is
Ooh, don't turn me on, Sam.
Sonny Gray and his dismay for the Yankees. He's come out again, and this time it's Brian Cashman stating that he hated the Yankees and never wanted to go there in the first place. That to me just, yeah, right. That just to me just says more about the fuel that he's going to bring. Again, he was a really good pitcher last year, under the radar pitcher. If you're into fantasy baseball, he was a really good pitcher for fantasy. So I expect that to kind of correlate over to the AL East. He played in the AL East. He also played in a really tough division over in the NL with a bunch of those teams, the Brewers and Cubs, so on and so forth. So again, it's Chuck Days coming, and we have the winter meetings right now, and hopefully some trades happen in the next couple of days, and Pete Alonso becomes a Red Sox. It's looking more like that, and less of Alex Bregman, which I'm okay with. They're both righties, but we'll have a bigger bat. So
when are the
I'm
winter
all for
meetings,
it.
Sam?
They're
Now.
now.
Right now.
Yeah, I think they started yesterday.
I think Kraz, great sort of overview on everything that's going on. I want to talk a little bit more about Pete Alonso and him coming in. I think it'd be huge for the Red Sox, given the fact that I liked Bregman, but they didn't really like market him and like use him as like the tent pole, if you will, of the team. I think Pete Alonso comes in and immediately becomes like the
The
guy
polar
along with
bear.
Crochet, as the two guys that you sort of have, and then you do have the flexibility to see what you may have in Costas and potentially put him into a deal. I think that the Red Sox need to pull the lever on sending these fringe AAA who were on the roster towards the end of the year guys in a package to go get another elite player on this team. And I forget who said it, but like given the constraints that Henry puts on the team from a budget standpoint, like trades are the way that they're going to have to go for that to be able to happen. So I'm all in on Craig Breslow putting anything on the table that he wants to put on the table to go make something happen. Like I feel that the Sox are almost there to go chase after World Series these next 3 to 5 years.
Thankfully, if they get a right-handed bat right now, as of right now, we have the deepest rotation, one of the deepest rotations in baseball. If we get a Cole Ragans back from the Royals, or from what I heard about an hour and a half ago, the talks on Joe Ryan, the Sox kind of pulled back on. The Royals have a lot more interest, I think. So if we add a Cole Ragans, our rotation tops the Dodgers, and by a lot. And again, a lot of these guys we don't really know their names. They're not household names like Yamamoto and Otani and Glasnow and Snell and all these other guys, but I'm telling you right now, these guys are monsters. No one really knew about Garrett Crochet until he kind of came around. All these other guys are big monsters, and they're that right-handed power bat away from really starting it to contend, especially with Roman Anthony coming up.
From
So
Ragans to riches.
yeah, Johan Oviedo is going to be a real surprise to a lot of people.
Do we think this team will actually go out and truly sign a 31-year-old
Yes,
player
I do, because
for a long-term contract and money?
yeah, because they already said that they're willing to go over the threshold as far as the luxury threshold and pay the tax. So I do
I just
they are
think
going
that
to.
I just think the age really gets them,
But
and because for the
but
term.
but
I
they're not
think
giving it. They're not giving him like a 10-year term. Like it's going to be a lot more reasonable than that, and that's why I think they're okay with it.
Is
either
is
that
that what we're looking at?
either
Yeah, I
that or
think
the
you're
yeah.
looking
I
at
was
like
gonna
a
say
four or
either that
5 year deal
Yeah.
between 25 to 30 a year, maybe a little more. But I'll overpay for the short term contract.
Me too.
But they can't do it like they just did with Bregman. Like if you're gonna go get Pete Alonso,
Yeah, fuck the opt-outs.
he's got to be here for
Yeah.
3 4 years,
5 years.
and,
Yeah.
and
You
be
could
a
do the
part
opt
of
out
this
after
run.
three. You could do the opt out after 3 years and give high money that way. You just can't give the option of opting out after year one or year two.
How old
Yeah,
is
no,
Alonso?
He just turned 31 literally yesterday. I looked it up.
Okay.
Happy
Yeah.
So I
birthday,
mean,
Pete.
Just turned 31.
he's one of those guys who's we talked about the golf course. He's walking on to the back nine right now,
Yeah.
but he's not Travis Kelce on the
No, he's
18th
not there.
hole.
He's got plenty of years left.
He,
But my thing is like if you give out a 6 to 7 year contract, it's like what is he going to look
I'm
like
fine.
at that? But for the
he's on
first
the
4 years,
he's
it'll
on
be
the
great production.
We're
he's on
paying
the 10th
$14 for a fucking drink over there. I'm fine with paying
he's
with
on
them
he's on
paying
the
them.
he's,
You know what I
he's
mean?
on the
No,
he's
I
on the
know
10th
we're
hole.
okay with it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
is
yeah.
John Henry
Yes, they
realistically
are.
gonna do it?
I think
They
so.
Like,
well,
I'm
They're gonna go.
realistically, I don't know, but what they've come out and told the media is they are willing and are going to spend over the threshold. So,
Listen, if they're not gonna do both. I don't think they're gonna do that, but they got to go get one. And if Pete Alonso is the guy, I'm actually happier about that than Bregman,
too.
just given the health situation in that
Agreed.
standpoint. So, and it also gives Marcelo Mayer a place to go play at third base as well, and he was outstanding defensively there. So, any
put
other
Campbell
any
at
other hot stove baseball thoughts, fellas? Otherwise, we'll keep the car moving down the road.
Kettle Marte, also another name just to kind of be looking out for. He's been brought up a couple times in the meetings. We'll see what happens with that. That would be cool. He's power hitting switch hitter that plays second base, and he's a stud. So that would be nice to see. But that's really it.
Love it. Go make the move, Sox. It's time to go make that
Spend your
stuff
fucking
happen.
money.
Love
All
it.
right, it's that favorite time of the week where we're just going to go through a couple quick things. The things that I hate, the things that are smelly, we don't like them, and then there are things that are stupendous, the things that make me get up and make me go, oh yeah. So for this week, we already talked about a number of them, so we're gonna do an abbreviated version. So anybody want to go with one of the things that we did not talk about?
Yeah, let me
I
do
was gonna
this.
say you're the newest shareholder, so
I had a rant. I had a rant a week or two ago about Fubo TV and their struggles when it comes to the streaming service, and I am a man of my word. I pulled the plug on Mr. Fubo, so Fubo is no longer in the Plotty household.
but that is after Direct
Hold,
TV tweeted directly at you to change to
so
them.
so that is not true. Let's get our facts correct here. So Xfinity
Uh,
tweeted
oh,
at me
Xfinity,
saying I'd like
Xfinity.
a deal.
Okay,
Now Xfinity
Direct
is
Xfinity.
is is garbage just as much as some of these other places, and not because of the content. They have all the content, but their price is outrageous. So I had to go into the back alleys, the inner channels of where am I when I'm watching TV and who has what streaming service? So we dialed into the Garden Gang, the cousins who go to Celtics games together on my side. I said, "Where are you guys watching your games? I need, you never seem to have a problem when I'm over." DirecTV Stream was the answer, and so let me tell you, boys, we've had it for 2 weeks now. We needed it to get the Celtics games primarily in the NBC stuff, but it's got NESN, it's got NBC Sports Boston, it's got 456. Now it's not
Wow.
those channels quite the way that you want to see them, but it's almost there. But DirecTV, couldn't recommend it enough. I welcome you aboard the DirecTV ship, fellas. Make the move. It's just about the same price as probably whatever you're paying with all these other fucking places. The nice part is everything's in there. You don't got to go app to app to go watch the different games. So that's my thank you to DirecTV for having a legitimate streaming service available.
Oh yeah.
But a
I
little
know.
bit of
Oh
a
yeah.
ode to that. I don't know if you guys heard today the whole controversy with Netflix and Paramount
Oh
trying
God.
to.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, still no.
I
Oh
I
yeah, to
gotta
DirecTV.
an oh yeah, something we covered, but just want to cover it real quick. Oh yeah to the 6-7 Kansas City Chiefs. Nothing better. Just love it. I just want to do 6-7.
What
Sure.
the hell?
You were fucking talk about child, fifth grader
Too
over
old for
there,
that
Big
shit.
E, six
Oh my
seven.
God.
6-7. 6-7.
I don't even.
What the fuck?
I hope just somebody cut that and put it out there and see what
That was
happens.
just like
I might
the
throw you in the
Instagram story
penalty
that I
box. E.
put
What the hell
where,
is that?
where Stefan Diggs was like, I don't know what this Drake May thing is. It's like, yeah, it's
Drake-
Dude,
six,
none
seven
of this
now.
shit makes any
Drake
sense.
Drake May.
Yeah,
Drake May.
The conductor.
Yep.
I like Peaches better. It makes sense. It all
Oh,
sort of.
Peaches
there's-
makes
If there's
sense.
anything that's come out of this season that is the best is our nickname for Booty as Peaches.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Another
oh,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
while we're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Drake May, and oh yeah to his lovely wife
Yes.
Anne May. She's
And
doing
Michael
the
May.
Michael. May.
and
Don't
Michael
forget
May.
the Michael.
Sorry. I wasn't sure if it was Michael or like Michelle.
No,
or, I
it's
didn't know how to
Michael.
fuck it
It's
up.
Michael.
Michael.
It's Michael.
Oh, okay, Michael. I see you. She's doing the what is it? 25 days of Bakemas, and
Yeah.
we've talked about this on previous podcasts, but I wanted to bring, maybe like a comment of the night from the
please.
Bakemas comment sections. We can maybe do this once every time we meet in December. But I got one here.
We
She was
got-
making some cookies today.
Okay.
And one of the comments, I would shout you out, but your name is period. It's just like a dot. So dot. I
Dot.
got you, dot. If you hear this,
Not DOT.
Maybe he's from Dorchester. You never
yeah,
know.
maybe.
Dot
Please-
from Dorchester.
Please send Drake to work with some cookies for William Campbell so he can recover from his injury quicker and protect our glorious king.
Warms the heart.
I mean, that is like,
we might have to do a couple of those.
it might be the
this week.
nicest comment section I've ever witnessed on a social media platform.
She's a sweetheart, that lady.
A comment that I did hear today was Giselle didn't bake any cookies. So
Yeah, I saw that too.
I
Too
mean,
busy with the karate instructor.
Jujitsu.
She was
Jujitsu.
Oh,
She was baking
jujitsu.
all right.
Right.
It's jujitsu.
Sorry.
no, that was fantastic. I mean, unbelievable content there, boys and girls. Great segment. Keep baking those baked goods, Mrs. May. We are a big fan of all of it. That concludes our oh yeahs and yeah ohs. As Big E said, we talked a lot about all the different things going on throughout the course of the episode. So as J-Matt has said the last couple episodes, let's park the car. Let's take it home here on the pike. Let's kick
fucking
it
asshole just stopping.
let's
Stop tapping on your brake.
Let's kick it off,
There's no one in
J-Matt.
front of you.
With football, obviously, we talked Pats Bills. That may be the game of the week. So we
not.
can talk that. Oh, he's got another one.
It's not the game of the week.
Packers
Uh-oh.
Broncos. Packers Broncos. We're Packers.
Let's go,
Let's go Packers.
Go
Pack.
Go.
Go
Pack. Go. Seriously. Yeah.
We might get a couple of Green Bay followers
9-3 and 1 Green Bay.
Tom Werner
Against the 11-2 Broncos in Mile High. We need them to take out the Broncos. So go Pack. Go.
Go Pack. Go.
Love it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Get me a cheesehead. Celtics, Biggie.
Yeah,
NBA.
Celtics. Game of the week. There's only 2 coming up over this next 7 days, and it is going to be next Monday against Detroit Pistons, who are number 1 in the Eastern Conference right now. So we are 1-1 against them so far this year, and we played them tight in both games. So this is a nice rubber match and a good one for the Celtics to measure up and see how they're doing against the tops of the Eastern Conference.
The two-ups.
Very nice. Gabe, NHL. Bruins.
The Bruins go on the road here for 3 games. Another well, no, we won't go there, but they got Tuesday night. They're playing St. Louis again.
It's a Midwestern threesome.
It is a Midwestern threesome, yes, including some Canada threesome in there.
I would. Wouldn't you say Winnipeg is kind of part of the Midwest of Canada?
Yeah. We could throw it in there. And then the Thursday get the Winnipeg Jets, and Sunday against the Minnesota Wild. So, none of those teams really get me going, I have to say. But if the Bruins can keep on doing what they're doing, then I'll be a happy man.
Maybe St. Louis for the Monty.
Another
connection.
Monty game. Yeah. Minnesota has an American-Israeli player who starts on defense. That's kind of cool.
Let's root for him.
I think he's the first Israeli to play in the NHL.
Very cool. Kraz, anything on the baseball stove that you're looking forward to? Hopefully anything out of the winter meetings you hope to see.
Yeah, I hope I get an alert tomorrow on my phone from Reddit that says that Pete Alonso signed a 7-year, $200 and
Who's the guy that would break
deal
that?
with the Red Sox.
Hassan?
Yeah, I think
Passan.
Not Rosenthal.
Rosenthal, Passan.
Who's the other?
Morosi.
Heyman.
But honestly, Morosi, out of all of them, I mean, the guy speaks like 4 different languages, so kudos to him. Like he'll go and interview like a Spanish player, like nothing. So like John Morosi knows the shit. So shout out to John Morosi. If we can get you on the podcast just to go over some baseball stuff, that would be fucking amazing.
Doors always open, John. Come on. Anybody wants to talk baseball, we're always welcome of guests. Speaking of guests, huge thank you to Sean Grande for joining us tonight. Incredible time with him, talking all things Celtics and things that he's been doing over the course of. It came to me during the episode, fellas. Sean Grande is currently the longest tenured play-by-play voice of any team in town. And that's a huge thing when you think about the legends of Mike Gorman and Tommy, Joe Castig, Jerry Remy, Don Orsillo. Obviously, he is 1-1 with Celtics in terms of when you think of who's calling their games. And he made one of the most unbelievable points that I never really thought about when it came to TV. The reason he stuck to radio and didn't take over for Mike Gorman is because of what he said. He didn't want to miss those 15 to 20 games that are the marquee games that he wouldn't be calling. And when you look at it from that standpoint, I can't really blame him. Like that's
But it's not even those 15, 20 games he's talking about. I was thinking about this when he was saying this. When you are a local TV, you only call the first round of the playoffs. He gets to call every single game the Celtics play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what Plotty was saying.
Yeah.
Let's go back to radio.
Screw cable.
Screw DirecTV. We're going back to the radio.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hey, man, it's a fail-safe. Everybody says it's dying. I mean, it really isn't.
It's a circle.
You can get into your
back
car.
To it.
You can press the button, and if you have at this point, every car is, you don't have a fucking antenna anymore. Like your car can get the radio pretty much wherever you are. So,
but shout out to all the guys that are on the radio, whether it's Zoe and Sosi, Grandy and Max, RJ and Bob Beers. Castiglione.
Well, it's Will Fleming,
Will Fleming,
Lou,
Will Fleming, Will Fleming and Lou.
Lou.
Just these guys just paint a picture for all of us as listeners where while we may not be able to visually see the game, we are able to see it with our own minds and know exactly what's going on because of what these guys are describing from their own point of view. So these guys do an awesome job, and we're fortunate that we have amazing radio guys in our market. So shout out to all of them.
Undoubtedly, that'll do. That's a great way to wrap the episode there. Big shout out to all the guys doing play-by-play. We are working on getting RJ back on soon to talk Bruins, so we're just locking down a date with him. It's been a great episode. Wherever you've tuned in, near, far, wherever you are, thank you for doing so. We'll see you next time here on the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. Peace.
Later.
Adios.